Well, welcome once again to the Ahern video podcast. Over the span of the last 4 or 5 years, I've done many programs on sales and marketing. I've received many positive responses. I've had companies that have actually engaged our services to redevelop and redesign their sales and marketing program. And as part of the process, I keep telling our clients and our potential clients that change is an inevitable part of progress. So you need to keep thinking outside of the box. When you think about it, everybody is in a sales and marketing position. They just don't realize it. If you're trying to control cost, you're trying to get your thought process across to the people directly responsible for reducing cost so that you can have a causal effect, a reduce of expenses. Well, in sales, it's no different. There's a person I referred to a number of times called Harvey McKay, and he's a well-renowned author, and he also has developed a lot of sales and marketing courses. But one of the things he has to say is you have to have fire in your system. That's the first and primary requisite. So whether you're managing a business, whether you're managing a maintenance department, whether you're trying to improve your sales and marketing, you have to have fire. Number two, you always have to be prepared. And what I've noticed in sales, with salespeople, what I've noticed with companies that aren't where they need to be, they're never prepared. They don't know what their competition's like. They have no plan. And all they do is complain. Well, the reality of the situation is you can complain all day long, but nobody wants to hear about it. How many times have you called somebody and you said, "How you doing today?" And it's the worst question you should have ever asked, because what happens? They go on for 10 minutes about telling you how miserable they are. Well, think about that though. If that's the kind of image you create, do you want to surround yourself with that kind of environment? To be successful today is everything about attitude, and it's everything about surrounding yourself with people that embrace your ideas, surrounding yourself with people that don't complain. And if you're in an environment where people are constantly complaining and you happen to be the owner, then you need to change that mentality. You need to change that dynamic. I think it was last series of podcasts, I said, listen to your employees. Some of them can give you good ideas. That doesn't mean that every time an employee comes up to you and says, this is what you should do it. But you should embrace the idea of openness. Good example. Well, 1996, 97, one of my salespeople said you should have a newsletter because you can impart, but you shouldn't charge for it. And 18 years later, we have a tremendous readership. It was created from an idea from a salesperson. We have somebody that comes in and analyzes our business every year, and in the old days when you could do blast facts, he said to me, do you realize that 60% of your companies are 1 to 99 trucks? And I really disliked this individual, but he said yes, and so he says, well, then why are you dealing with 40% of the market? And that in 97, 98 opened us up to start using advertising in a more productive way. The first month, I think we generated an additional $150,000 in billing. We embrace the internet. 35% of our business comes off the internet today. We hope to get 50% in the next 2 years. We're constantly looking for ways to retrain our analyst, and that's what they are. They are analysts. Yes, they're on the phone. Yes, they're making contact with people, but they're doing it for a specific reason. But in my thought process, you have to come into the office every day and want to come into the office, but you have to come into the office every day anticipating change. If you're too comfortable in your position, that's the beginning of a blip in your business. You should always try to be uncomfortable. You should always try to do something different. Benchmarking is a great process, but so what? You really shouldn't be concerned about what your competition's doing other than to know what they're doing. But you should have a specific plan. You should have specific goals and objectives. You should have time frames to accomplish those goals and objectives. But most importantly, you have to always be selling. If you're an accounting manager, you're selling. What are you selling? You're selling an idea to reduce cost. So if you have an accounting manager, it's their job to tell you how to reduce costs, improve efficiency, reduce the bottom line so you can increase your profit. That's their job. Well, set up specific goals and objectives for them to do their job. Don't wait until the last minute. I did a commentary on maintenance last week. Set up a goal, set up objectives, set up time frames, set up bonuses. Make sure they hit those goals and objectives. In sales and marketing, take them out of their comfort zone. we recently finished with a company, and one of the things they had a terrible pricing tool. So we actually took their own information, and we have our own database, and we created a pricing tool for them where they can push a button, and in 5 seconds it's going to give them an answer. And they brought their rates up an average of 15 cents a mile in 3 months. We took them out of their comfort zone. We got them to rely on the system. We worked with them to show them how to use the system. Now it's part of their everyday cycle. So the point I'm trying to make is you have to constantly think outside the box. You have to constantly change. You have to constantly feel uncomfortable. You have to constantly want to improve. You got to constantly listen to your employees. You have to constantly look for better intellectual capital. You have to constantly change. And if you do that, you will improve your bottom line. Until next time, thank you for attending the podcast.